They better not be, or I'm deleting some comments. If people are saying anything bad about Gary with no proper reason, I'm deleting comments. I don't care. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Dillard, bringing back another podcast with my co-host, Mr. John. How are you doing today?
I'm good. We won. That's all you need to know.
We got a lot to talk about. It's been a while. It's been a fat minute since we did a podcast for the Yankee Way channel. But here we are. We're doing another podcast again. I thought it was appropriate time since it seems like the Yankees are somewhat starting to come back to their senses.
We both had fun watching baseball this weekend for once. For the first time in 2 months, we both had fun watching baseball.
Well, that's the thing, though. The Yankees have been making me very miserable, but that's why I have Tatis Jr. to make me a lot happier, make me feel so much more joy of watching baseball. Yeah. Because the Yankees have just not been doing that recently. I watch every game, but that doesn't mean I'm enjoying watching the product that they put on the field. I watched the game,
and then I've gone through like 5 bottles of alcohol, and we're not going to talk about that.
Do you keep those bottles so that we have proof? We have receipts?
No, I recycle them. What do you think? I'm like a hoarder or something? I just keep everything with me. I mean, you would think that with the state of this room, but it's besides the point.
So, anyways, we have a lot to talk about. I think probably the best and most interesting thing to talk about is obviously the 3-game series that the Yankees just finished. They swept the Blue Jays. They finally swept a team. It seems like it is so dang difficult for this team to finish a game that involves an opportunity to sweep. It's always that third game. They did it against the Twins. They should have won that game. What happened? I'm not going to put the blame on too much on Chapman because, to be fair, Chapman's been lights out for pretty much the entire season. So I'm not going to be too hard on him. But the Yankees have had a reputation, at least of this season, of just making it extremely difficult on themselves to sweep teams that they should be sweeping, or games that they know that they should be sweeping. They should be winning those games. They're very winnable games. But I don't want to talk about the Twins series. I don't want to talk about anything that involves, them losing or getting swept like the Red Sox, Phillies. Some brutal series that they have played in the last few weeks.
In the last month.
There's been pretty brutal series, especially that Red Sox series. But
that one hurt.
We're going to talk about some positive series. We're going to talk about some good things, bring some positive vibes to the podcast. Let's go ahead and discuss the Blue Jays.
Do you want to know what? I'm just gonna say this real quickly. Do you want to know what the Red Sox series reminded me of? It reminded me of that time that we were in the playoffs and we lost by like 20-something runs, and Brock Holt hit for the cycle in Yankee Stadium. That's what that series reminded me of. I don't know why. It was just sad.
Okay, I don't think they're that good, okay? I don't think they're the 2018 Red Sox.
No,
I don't think that far.
No, they're not that good, but it was just depressing, and I was just like, this is happening, and I can't believe I'm watching this.
Yankee fans across the nation were in shambles that night when we got swept on Sunday night. That was a bad series. That whole series. Actually, if you know what, since you mentioned it, I wasn't gonna bring any bad vibes to the podcast, but since you mentioned it, do you remember that call that was clearly off the plate to Odor? Do you remember that call?
Yeah, I was
one of the worst calls I've ever seen in my life.
I was really mad yesterday. I don't think that it I couldn't believe that call. That was so garbage. We had it
off the plate.
Do I think we would have done anything with Frazier coming up at bat next? No. But I mean, something could have happened. He could have pulled a Michael Conforto and stepped into it. I don't know. Something could have happened. You'd never know.
Why do you gotta do my guy Conforto like that?
Do you think the odds were in our favor? No. Because something have happened? Anything can happen, but just he walked.
Yeah, but that's the thing. It's like we don't know what would have happened in that scenario, but
right.
You just can't. That can't be the way that it ends the game for the Yankees. That just can't be the way it ends.
Struck out looking Mike Ford style, and then angrily walked back to the dugout with that frown on his face. I'm saying that because it's relevant.
It is relevant because Mike Ford just got traded to the Tampa Bay Rays, interestingly enough.
With a beard
and,
soon.
You keep talking about, you're like, oh, I don't really care about it, but I'm going to literally kill you. I'm going to fly over to New Jersey if he starts raking. I'm going to kill you
care about him.
if he starts raking with the Rays. But But anyways, let's go ahead and talk about the Blue Jays series because that's the
Who
most
said I
important
lived in New
series.
Jersey?
So right off the bat, I think the most important thing to talk about is the triple play. Weirdest triple play I've ever seen in my life. I don't know what Bo
I can't
Bichet's
even give
doing.
you the notation on it.
I don't even know what it is either. It's
That was
the,
just that was Yankee style base running right there.
I know
Like,
that it was the
can't.
first triple play of its kind in baseball history, so that should tell
That's
you a thing
not
or two.
saying much. That's
You,
not saying much.
if you want to, like, honestly, that triple play is the weirdest triple play. But honestly, give credit to Gio turning around all of a sudden and just flinging that ball out of his hand real quick, and then that tag.
I give a lot of credit to Gio. I do not understand why Bichette decided I want to take that base. Like, you can't do that. Just go back to second. You can't. Don't do that. Like,
He was having such a hard time trying to figure out where he wanted to be in between third and second. He was just right in the middle, just kept going back and forth. I'm like, Bichette, what are you doing?
They both didn't seem to understand what to do in that situation. Like, I don't know what they were doing. It seemed to be that they were on two different wavelengths, where it seemed to me that the contact play was on for Bichette, but not for Simeon. I don't understand. Like, Simeon saw that ball get hit to the ground and said, I'm going to go back to third. But Bichette decided, I'm going to take third.
Mm-hmm.
And then just no communication. The third base coach was just like, I don't know what to do with this situation. Good luck.
It's a tough
And then we
situation.
played it perfectly. Walked him to third, then came home, brought him back to third. Like, it was weird because we're not very used to seeing good baseball plays from this team. And meanwhile, Toronto didn't seem to understand that they were playing in the world where gloves exist still to this day. I don't know what was going on. Like, this series was messy from Toronto, right? Like, you'd expect them to be playing well on defense, but you see Simeon just, like, completely miss the guy at first. I don't know how he does that. You see them throw the ball in the outfield. Miguel Andujar gets an RBI. I'm like, what is going on here?
There was
Garner
at least
almost was safe on that play.
There was at least 3 separate occasions from this series where the throw completely took Vladimir Guerrero Jr. off the bag. Like,
right, like, what are you doing?
And one of them was right into the body of Stanton, and I'm like, do you know what happens when you're in the way of a man that big and he's going that fast towards you?
Vlad is a big guy. Stanton is a bigger guy. Like, they almost got killed by our linebacker running down the line. Like, that throw was dreadful. And the thing is like, there are so many bad plays. Like that play where Stanton, like, that's the one where he yelled at Panic for making that throw. Like, he comes in, he bare hands that and just heaves it, and Stanton's nowhere near the base, and the guy rushed the throw. Like, there were so many plays like that. I don't remember this team being so bad at fielding. It just seemed that they just forgot.
It's almost like the roles
It's
reversed.
hard. Like, you have a big wingspan. Like, you have a big target.
It's almost like the roles reversed. Like you said, we're not used to the best baseball in the field, so it's almost like we switched places. But to be fair, there were some bad times for the Yankees, like that throw away that was supposed to be a double play. No idea where that was going. That was going in our dugout.
I don't know about you, but you
dugout.
just said you don't want to talk about the bad vibes, and now you're bringing the bad vibes.
Hey, if we're going to talk about fielding, we got to mention that Wade kind of messed up on that double play. I don't know what he was doing. He was just thinking... He was thinking double play before the ball even got to his glove, let alone his throwing hand. He just butchered it.
Yeah. I mean, do you remember, like I think it was a year ago, I was complaining about Andujar not being able to hit a guy with, like, he couldn't put the ball in a box that was like 10 feet wide by 6 feet high. Like, he couldn't do that from across the diamond. The Blue Jays couldn't do that from the second base position this week for some reason. That's even closer. Like, if you can't, it's like watching John Lester try to throw to first base. He can't do it. Or watching Betances try to throw over. Like, you can't, he could not find the first baseman. I don't know why. It's so weird. They just gave us so many free runs, and it just was incredible.
There was the incident in the first inning of today's game, or technically yesterday's game because of the podcast, but we're talking about today's game, where who was it? Who was the pitcher? Was it TJ? Yeah, TJ, right?
TJ Zoik.
Yeah, TJ
today.
Zoik was pitching, and he just completely missed second base and just
I
gave us a free
know.
run. I'm like, what are you
Throw it in
doing?
the center field. Come on.
So a lot of that. Blue Jays were extremely sloppy. I haven't seen them that sloppy in a long
We
time.
got very
It's been a
lucky. Did
while.
you see? You saw the play where Vlad gets picked off of third and Chapman just cannot throw the ball to Gary.
Yeah,
He
I don't.
bounces the throw from the mound, and Gary somehow catches it and throws Vlad out. And I'm like, oh my god, this play could have. If this was 3 weeks ago, this play goes 500 ways wrong. Like Gary doesn't field it cleanly. Chapman throws it away. The ball hits off of Guerrero and goes into left field, and he scores. And I'm like, oh my god, like what is going on here? Like this is just terrible. Like it's so bad.
I was gonna mention, honestly, the Blue Jays, with how many mistakes they made, if they cut down on those mistakes, this series would have been a lot closer than what it was if
Yeah.
they simply cleaned up their act. Because when you were talking about that, I immediately thought about you know, Chapman. I'm like, what are you doing, Chapman? And then also,
Bounce
Blue
the
Jays
throw.
kind of got screwed over on that call that wasn't. They thought it was a foul tip.
I don't
Remember?
think
And it wasn't.
That was
it
not a
did
foul
not hit
tip.
the bat at all. So the
As
Yankees
soon
got
as that
lucky on
play
that.
happened, I'm like, oh my god, we just got away with that one. That's garbage. Like you
Yeah, that was
got
a bad call.
Like if it wasn't for the fact that like, you know, Gary comes to the aid of CB Buckner, who by the way didn't know what a strike was that day either. If it wasn't for that fact, then I don't think that like, I don't know if anyone was going to overrule CB Buckner, but man, we got lucky on that one.
Gary
But
sold. That was the sell of the century.
I
He
know.
could have sold you anything after doing that.
Yeah, Gary could have sold you a bridge.
I do want to
so
talk
bad.
about Gary though, but I also want to talk about
Gary is-
Gio first.
Gary, oh, I'm sorry. Did you mean like Ryan Howard?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, sure.
First, I did want to talk about Gio outside of, we gave him credit for that triple play, just amazing awareness on his part. Gio also had another amazing throw.
Had a great
That
series.
Derek Jeter-like throw just...
I love that throw. I watched that throw like 7 times.
He put
I
some
couldn't
serious
believe it.
mustard on that ball. Made it
John
look easy.
Sterling didn't do that throw justice.
And not only that, but then he hits a home run. It's like, when's the
Gio
last...
had a game. He planned to play today.
When's the last time Gio Urshela had such a complete game where he just did like everything imaginable?
I can
He
tell
just
you
did so well
exactly when he
today.
had such a good game. It's like a couple years ago when he played against us and threw like 3 people out from foul territory and also drove in a run against us. Like,
Was that when he was with Cleveland?
Yeah. It's like,
Okay.
that's when people were like, all right, who is this dude? And why is this guy like the second coming of Whitey Ford? Like, I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, it was crazy. He and for the second time this year, he was on cycle watch, and he almost hit a home run.
No, he did. He did hit a home run. He almost hit his second home run of the game.
He almost hit a second home run of the
Yeah.
game, and I saw that on the play, and I'm like, that looked like it was a foul ball, and somehow the umpire called it fair, but the review came out like, there's no way.
This was the same game too, where Judge almost had a grand slam too.
Judge almost had
It
a
was
grand
very
slam
similar.
too. Yeah. This game was 8-4. This game could have easily been like 13-4 by the end of the game. It was crazy. Like the margin was not what it seemed like it was going to be. But
First,
wow.
before Gary Sanchez, I just remembered. I cannot forget about this. Judge with the play,
Yeah, that was a
if
great
not
catch.
one of the plays of the year, because to be fair, Mike Talkman has robbed 2 different people of home runs now somehow.
we don't want to hear about Mike.
But Judge with one of the greatest plays, one of the greatest robberies that you will see this season. Just
Yeah,
amazing.
that was a great play.
And the thing was, and I was saying this on Twitter, I was like, this isn't going to show up in the box score. This is only going to show up in
Crazy
highlight
shit.
videos. It's not going to show up in the box score. But this is the thing that you have to realize. He took a 2-run homer from the Blue Jays. They were already up by 1 run. And because of that, I noticed that the momentum just completely shifted in the Yankees' favor. And then after that, that's when Stanton hits the 2-run homer. You get Gittins.
Yo, Giancarlo, who never hits clutch home runs, according to Yankee fans, who never hits home runs in clutch situations, and then hits one up a run in a game that we need to win.
Mm-hmm.
But he never hits clutch home runs, according to Yankee fans. No, he doesn't do that. No, I'm sorry.
But you have Stanton go up there and rock a 2-run homer, and then you have Gittins come up and they give us 2 insurance
Yeah.
runs, and it's just like, wow, like the momentum just
But what
completely
is with
shifted.
that? I'm sorry. Look, I like Chris Gittins. I like Chris Gittens. I'm not saying he's a bad hitter. He needs more major league experience. But why in that situation do you bring Chris Gittens up to the plate, who has a hit in the MLB and about 14 strikeouts, and then you bring him up when you need a base hit, but you don't bring up Clint Frazier in that situation, who just had a clutch pinch hit the other day? I'm not saying that I don't believe in Chris Gittens. I do believe in Chris Gittens, but I believe in Chris Gittens more to take a walk than to hit the ball, where Clint Frazier proved to me last week he did a good job coming off the bench.
You're more just saying, like,
I don't understand it.
Like, when you look at it now in hindsight, you're like, oh, obviously it was the right decision. But in that moment, you're like, oh, why Gittens? Why not Frazier? He just had a big pitch hit. Yeah.
It worked, but in hindsight, also bringing in Lucas Litke didn't work either. Like, that didn't work. I mean, Michael King gave up 2 ground balls, and that's it. His line is over. But Lucas Litke, although to be fair, I mean, Miguel Lindor should have caught that ball, but I memean, that Lucas Litke, that didn't work either. But just, I like Chris Gittens. I don't know if Clint Frazier would have given you much of a better chance in that situation, but it seemed weird to me. Like, why Chris Gittens and not the guy who has a couple more hits in the MLB and a better, maybe, I don't know. It's just so weird. Maybe it had to do with positioning. Maybe because they knew that Chris Gittens could go in the game and play a position, and they didn't want to burn, they didn't want to take Andujar out. Maybe I get that. I mean, it was just really strange. It didn't make sense to me. I was very confused.
Oh, I get it. I understand. But we can both admit that we're extremely happy for Gittens.
I'm very happy.
Very happy for Gittens.
It worked out. It's just, to me, the mathematics to make it happen didn't make sense to me. It's like they got to the right answer, but I'm just not sure that the way that they solved the problem made sense. It was very weird. I mean, it was a good hit. I mean, he went opposite field. He stayed back on a pitch that was in the zone, and he didn't try to do too much with it, and he put the ball in play. And he had, 3 RBIs in the game? Like, guy had a great game. Like, I'm hyped to see where this goes, and it does not make me miss Mike Ford. I'm sorry.
I'm still gonna kill you and fly to New Jersey if he starts destroying baseballs.
He's not even playing on an active roster yet. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Okay. He's our secret agent. He's our secret undercover cop to go there and reveal to us how they make pitchers work so well.
It didn't work out too far for them tonight because they got walked off by the Seattle Mariners. So just want to point that out there real quick.
Property franchise.
But I do want to mention Gary Sanchez. I'm gonna go on somewhat of a rant. So here we go. Here we go right now with Gary Sanchez. This has been a long time coming since we haven't done any podcasts, and I've been just biding my time watching Gary just look good after bat after bat after at bat and such. I actually said this on Twitter today too. Also with the Judge, the similar box score situation, I also said this. One of the hits that Gary Sanchez had, it was only a single, but it was a slider that slid away from him in the zone. And he stuck with the ball and drove it to center. And I'm like, Gary is locked in. He is locked in right now.
He's seeing the ball well.
But outside of that, I want to give you some stats. Now, this is only from May 16th through June 16th, and I know they just had a game.
A month.
Yeah, it's a full month. It's a full month of baseball, not including what he did tonight. So I'm sorry that I wasn't able to include what's tonight. This is just the information on Fangraphs. They don't update it until the next day. But a full month of baseball right here. And this is for you, Gary Sanchez, Resurgence bandwagon.
Yeah, go get him.
138 WRC+, 370 WOBA, 866 OPS. Not only is he playing really well in the last month, but also Gary Sanchez, among catchers, is above league average in average, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, WOBA, and WRC+. So all those people who said Gary Sanchez sucks, and now you guys are living under a rock, what do you guys have to say about it now? You have nothing to say other than Gary Sanchez. You are now bowing down to his feet. You are now worshiping him. These people that were these people that were giving him so much crap and trashing him day and day and day, even though they know the type of potential that Gary Sanchez has, when you give him more plate appearances, when you let him swing the bat more, he's going to eventually work up to that production. He's going to have better at bats. He's going to walk more, which he's seen. I mean, we've seen Gary Sanchez walk a lot lately. Also, he's getting a lot of hits. He's hitting a lot of home runs. You give him more at bats, he's going to be more productive. You want him to play more. He's an offensive threat. He's always been. It's not about did he have the talent? He does have the talent. It was about can he be consistent? But if you give him more at bats, more plate appearances, he's going to drive in runners for you. He's going to get in those big hits. He's going to do big things for the Yankees. And I'm just so incredibly happy that he is proving everybody wrong. He's proving everybody wrong. And it makes me so happy because I've always been Gary Sanchez, one of his biggest fans. You know that.
Me too.
Gary Sanchez Resurgence bandwagon. He's obviously a massive fan, so him and I get along very well and click on the Gary Sanchez train.
Sorry, I love the guy. He's just so much fun to watch. When he's on, he's so much fun to watch. Because you know that he can just take anything out to any field and at any time. And you just know he's going to just do something fun.
So that's the point. It's that I'm just really enjoying the fact that everybody is bowing down to him. All the people that quote unquote didn't say anything about him, kind of like the judge experiment crap nonsense, whatever that nonsense was. The same thing's happening. People are, like they were turning their backs against Gary Sanchez. Now they're worshiping the ground that he walks on. It's just completely hilarious. It's hypocritical. It's funny. We have our receipts. Not going to go through the receipts or anything, but you know who you are if you're the ones who are trashing him, and you also know who you are if you're the one who's been defending him the entire time. And I salute all those people who have been defending him. You guys are awesome, and you should know that.
So I'm here defending him. I got the receipts. I want to put this into perspective real quickly. So let's see, Gary Sanchez. I'm gonna put this into layman's terms for all the people out there who don't understand what all those fancy numbers mean. So Gary Sanchez this year, not hitting that great. Obviously for those of you people who still out there who believe that batting average is an acceptable stat, he's hitting 228. He's 788 OPS. He's hit 10 home runs. He's driven in 22. Not setting the world on fire. But let's go across the river. Let's go over to the other team in this town. Let's go look at someone. They just acquired him this season, didn't they? I think they did. They paid a couple of dollars for him. He's hitting 217, 663 OPS, 6 home runs and 16 RBIs. Like, man, you're telling me that, wait, hold on. Gary Sanchez is outperforming a guy who is getting paid the highest paid shortstop in the league? I don't believe you right now. I thought he was terrible. Oh, man. I guess that, I guess they're wrong. I don't know what to tell you.
That's crazy. I mean, when you were talking about that, I think I said Lindor had an 89 WRC plus.
Yeah, he's like almost. What is it? Gary's what? 138 over the last month.
Yeah, Gary in the last month is in 130 WRC plus territory.
I thought Gary was overpaid, getting paid $6 million, but meanwhile, this dude over there is basically, has a life insurance policy with them for some reason.
If you want the specific numbers so that we have a larger sample size, so it's fair to compare, Gary Sanchez has a 117 WRC plus, which still is above league average.
Yeah,
so there you go.
That's good. Sign me up. Take that all day. There's only one more thing that I want to talk about, which is something that I thought was very strange. We haven't really talked about this in a while. Like, I don't know why, but I looked this up because I watch Chapman pitch all the time, and for some reason I just got this nagging feeling. Like, you remember when the year began, and we're talking about how Aroldis Chapman has this new pitch, and oh my god, he's got 3 pitches now, and he's got the splitter. This splitter legit disappeared for a month, and I don't know where it went. I don't know why he stopped throwing this thing. It made no sense to me. Like, I looked it up. I broke it down by game. On April 7th, he threw 3. 11th, he threw 1. The 12th, he threw 1. The 20th, he threw 2. He threw 1. Then you get into May. He threw 3 on May 5th. He threw 3 on May 8th. Then he threw 2 on May 9th. And then on May 11th, he threw 1. And then just for the next month, he threw 3 splitters for the next month. And then you get to like yesterday, or like June 15th, and then June 16th, and he threw 7 in the 2 days span. I don't know where this pitch went. I don't know why he stopped throwing it, because the first person to get a hit off of the splitter happened on the 16th. That's the first person to get hit on the splitter. All year, batters were, I don't know, like 0 for 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They were 0 for 12 on this pitch over the last month until he hung one. And I don't know why he stopped throwing this ball. I don't know why. Maybe it was because of the nail injury we heard a little while ago. I don't know why he stopped throwing this pitch, but it just. I'm watching the game and I'm like, he is not throwing splitters. He's throwing sliders. They're getting hit. He's throwing fastballs. They're getting hit. And then all of a sudden, he just comes out last against the Blue Jays and just throws splitters. I don't know what happened. It was so weird. Just
I understand that. And then like you look at like his stats, he's like a .077 slugging. Like that's crazy.
Yeah.
A .077 batting average when he throws a split finger. I mean, that's nuts. That's insane.
Like I said, I got the chart pulled up, and it's just like it's a very weird drop off where he throws maybe 2 or 3 for maybe 4 weeks. It just makes no sense to me why he would just not throw it, unless there was some reason like injury or the nail was like nagging again. I don't know what it could be. Someone should ask that question.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We were talking about it before the podcast a little bit, but I mentioned, before the podcast that one of the times that I finally saw his splitter again, when he finally used it again, like you said, you have the evidence to back it up. He hasn't been using a splitter a lot lately, but one of the strikeouts that he had, one of his nasty splitters during Game 1, and I was like, is that the splitter again? Because he hasn't used it in so long. It just seems like he hasn't used it as much lately like he was using it before.
So. Expected batting average this year off his split finger is .077.
Yeah, that's what I was mentioning earlier. A slugging, the WOBA.
It has a 62% whiff percent, 44% put away percent. Like it's just like you need to throw that pitch. Mm-hmm. You need to put it in the back of the mind. It doesn't have to be good. Like just don't hang it. Mm-hmm. Like just put it anywhere else but the strike zone. Mm-hmm. That's all that matters. But you need to find a way to incorporate it. Just do that.
I mean, you have to when you're in the 99th, you're in the 99th percentile for whiff and K percentage. I mean, you got to throw. If you're creating strikeouts that often, you got to throw the splitter. Knowing
people know what they're looking at. They go up there, they're like, okay, I'm looking for the fastball. And if you put a fastball up in the strike zone and then throw a split finger, they're gonna just whiff at it because they don't know they have to cheat. Mm-hmm. Throws too hard. You have to just get ahead.
Before we go ahead and close out the podcast, I actually kind of wanted to let you have the stage a little bit. We talked about it before the podcast, but I wanted you to talk about it a little bit for the viewers who watch this. Talking about how he's in the 1% for barrel percentage.
Yeah, that's really weird. That's really funny. And I think it's because of the fact that nobody puts the bat on the ball against him, and that the only couple of times that the bat ends up on the ball, they happen to hit it off the barrel. He only has 44 batted ball events this year.
Nelson Cruz and Josh Donaldson.
Apparently, yeah, that's think about the barrels against him, like Astudillo, Donaldson, and then Nelson Cruz. That's half of the barrels this year. That's it. Just in that one game. That's it.
And that's ridiculous to think about. I mean, Chapman has been realistically just insane this season.
He has been so untouchable that he is in just having one bad game puts him in the top 1% for barrel percent. That's it. It's so funny. He has 44 batted balls and 8 of them are barrels for an 18.2% barrel rate. It's just nuts to me. And on top of that, his expected batting average is, despite that barrel rate, his expected batting average is in the top 6% of the league, which is insanity. And his strikeout percentage, as you said, is 45%, which is top 1%.
Top 1% for K percentage, fastball velocity, and whiff percentage.
He's having a monstrous season. It is not funny.
Honestly, the only thing that I can say about Chapman, and it's not anything negative towards him, is that it's a shame that even as good as he is, the Yankee fan base, there's still a lot of people that are going to throw him under the bus for one bad game, even though he's the last person you should be blaming because he's been borderline untouchable this season.
I can't even blame Chapman for that bad game. I wanted to mention this beforehand, but everybody wants to yell at him, but he wasn't getting used because we were terrible. There was no time for him to pitch. We have him as our closer, and unfortunately, when you lose 7 of 9, and then the only game you win by 8 runs, there's no time to use him. it's just a happenstance. And he comes in, he doesn't have his timing. He comes in, throws 95-mile-an-hour meatballs to people who are professional major league hitters, and that ball ends up deposited 17 rows back in the seats. It happens. It's just you have to have him regular use in order for him to be effective. So that's why it's always shocking when he comes in and being rusty, and people are like, "Oh, here we go again." Like, it's just for him to be on, he needs regular work. It's like Giancarlo in the field. He needs regular work. He says it himself. He's like, I need regular work in the field to be on, and he needs regular at bats to be on. They just need to play to keep their timing down.
It's like from the span of time from like May 23rd to about, which I know this was technically before the Twin series. It was 2 series before, but there was a period of time from like, if we're just considering May 23rd through June 1st, there was only 2 games that he pitched on.
Right.
28th versus the Tigers and the 1st against the Rays, and then it kind of skips. Like he only
a safe situation. I think that was an extra innings game, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. He only pitched, out of the 3 games versus Boston, he only pitched 1 of the games. The Twins, he only pitched 1 of the games. The Phillies won. I know it was 2-game series, but 1. It wasn't until the Toronto series where he pitched a lot more. So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, you need to pitch consistently to stay in that groove.
He's very dependent on his timing. That's what happens when his motion is very refined and very reliant on his timing. You can't, like, you mess up his timing a little bit and he drops 3 miles an hour of velocity and can't find the strike zone. Like, it's very exact and it's very reliant on him being used regularly, so that way he's got that feeling. So,
and that's the thing, you nailed the hammer. You put the hammer in the coffin or the nail. You get what I'm trying to say. Because of the specifically the Twin series, I noticed that his fastball velocity was down tremendously.
Gave up a home run on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. That's not him. His fastball averages 99, 100 miles an hour. Like, that's, to have a 5% difference in your average velocity is just doesn't have the timing, can't find the zone, and he couldn't find the zone. He needed to come in to the zone. Like, he just threw a get-me-over pitch, and they said, "Okay, I'm gonna hit that."
Alrighty, well, I think we covered quite a bit on this podcast, enough to make it into a pretty solid, good episode to come back on. I promise that we will not be away that long again. It will not be like that. It will be every week again, at least one podcast.
You were having some fun visiting some ballparks, so you were okay.
Well, I mean, I didn't get to go to ballparks, but I was in California for almost 2 weeks, so that's actually, if you want to give anyone credit for all the videos that were being uploaded during that time, you have to give my friend credit. He was helping me out while I was gone in California. I wasn't able to post anything or stay on Twitter or anything because I was enjoying the Cali life for a little bit. Last thing I want to say before we end this off, though, just like briefly, I'm glad Britton's back. I'm happy Britton's back. I know he kind of gave us that heart attack a little bit one of the games ago, but like, that's the classic Britton we know. I trust him through the process. I trust he'll get out of the, the sticky situations he might put himself into, and he did. So
that now.
So I'm happy with Britton being back. I'm so happy that he's back, and we're about to get Luke Voigt back too. So
I don't know if Luke Voigt's ready, but we'll try. Britton gives us an extra person in the bullpen. So now you just shorten the game 1 inning. So now you only need to start to go 5 innings, because then you've got, like, okay, you get a starter, 5 innings, done. Loizaga, Green, Britton, Chapman, call it a night. Go home. Done.
Mm-hmm.
Easy. Or you can do it the other way. You put, like, Britton before Green, so that way you lefty matchup it, and then you bring in Chapman to face anybody because you care. So there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Profit. Call it a night.
Alrighty, well, that's about it for the podcast. Hope all of you enjoyed the podcast. If you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe, click that bell notification so you never miss a video of mine. Also, make sure that you like this video. If you want to share it, that also helps us a lot too. And also leave a comment down below and give your thoughts and opinions on the Yankees, the series against the Blue Jays. And you can also give us a comment on, what we did and, if you like the topics that we talked about and what you want us to talk about in the future.
comments are gonna be like, "I hate Gary Sanchez." You're
They
wrong.
better not be around deleting some comments. If people are saying anything bad about Gary with no proper reason, I'm deleting comments. I don't care. I'm not putting up with that crap, dude. I'm
Someone's
not.
gonna be like, "Oh, Wilson Ramos is a free agent. Go sign him."
Lindor's better than Gary Sanchez, even though it's at
Trade
89
Gary for
WRC
Lindor,
plus.
straight up.
Trade for Lindor. Gary
need a
Sanchez is
catcher.
bad.
Mets need a catcher. Trade for him.
All right, well, that's about it. And that's about it. I don't really know what else to say. Go do all the things that I said. If you guys did enjoy the podcast, I don't want to say it again because I already said it. But other than that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast.